Hi everyone, thank you for being here. Today I'll be presenting on my master's thesis, which focuses on my interest in athlete role and role perceptions on sports teams. Specifically, my thesis involved looking at the development and outcomes of athletes' perceptions of role significance. So to start off, I'll be highlighting a quote former NBA coach Phil Jackson made in speaking about his time coaching the Chicago Bulls. So in this quote, Jackson states, "I knew that the only way to win consistently was to give everybody, from the stars to the number 12 player on the bench, a vital role in the team, and inspire them to be acutely aware of what was happening, even when the spotlight was on somebody else." So as Jackson suggests, team performance depends heavily on how athletes perceive their roles. Specifically, they need to view them as vital or significant to the team. And though this concept of role significance has not been studied within sports, a general understanding of role significance can be made through work in organizational literature, where there's been substantial research on a similar construct termed task significance, defined as the degree to which an employee's work affects others within or outside the organization. Within organizational research, the study of task significance has been dominated by two theoretical perspectives. That's the job characteristic model, or JCM, and the social information processing model, SIP. So the JCM is a work design theory focused on ways of enriching characteristics of the job or work. And essentially, the JCM proposes that a number of core job dimensions will lead to critical psychological states, which will then influence a number of personal and work outcomes. Specifically, task significance is proposed to lead into experiencing meaningfulness of the work, which will then result in a number of outcomes, including high internal work motivation, high growth satisfaction, high general job satisfaction, and high work effectiveness. And so, though the JCM speaks to how attributes of an individual's job may have major implications for an individual, the JCM doesn't really take into account how the social environment may impact individuals' perceptions of their job. And so, from this, the social information processing model was built. And so, compared to the JCM, SIMP emphasizes the impact of the social environment on an individual's mentalities, attitudes, and actions. That is, an employee's interactions with their managers or supervisors, coworkers, and workplace friendships may influence perceptions of their job, including perceptions of task significance. And this stems from the idea that as humans, we look to others for validation, feelings of belonging, and emotional support. So, based on this organizational literature, role significance perceptions appear to have important implications. And though assumptions can be made through work in organizational research studying task significance, the concept of role significance does need to be examined within a sport context due to the unique environment that's created. For example, compared to organizations, sport teams are comprised of unisex individuals. There's a difference in the level of interdependency between individuals, skill differential, and the value of informal roles. As such, the purpose of this study was to explore the nature of role significance for athletes through qualitative interviews with competitive level athletes and coaches. This included developing a greater understanding of the concept of role significance, exploring potential antecedents to role significance, and consequences of role significance. So participants included 7 athletes, 3 of which were female with a mean age of 23, as well as 5 coaches, 1 of which was a female with a mean age of 41. Participants recruited were limited to those playing in interdependent team sports, such as soccer, basketball, and hockey, and participants need to have played or coached at the competitive level. Data collection was through semi-structured interviews, and these were supplemented with demographics and reflexive journaling. So getting into the results and first speaking to the definition of role significance. Almost all participants spoke to role significance in a similar fashion, identifying that role significance was not limited to those athletes holding high status roles, such as the team captain or star player. For example, one athlete said, "So everybody, no matter how big or how small your role is, I think everybody has a role to play. Without you, things wouldn't happen. Even the best players, or maybe the players that don't dress, everybody is a part of it. Your role really matters." And so interesting, this echoes the quote by Phil Jackson at the beginning of the presentation, highlighting the need for all athletes to view their role as important or meaningful within team sports. Turning to potential antecedents of role significance, there were also a number of factors identified as contributing to athletes' perceptions of role significance. And this included acknowledgement of an athlete's role, perceived impact on team performance, role properties, and individual attraction to the group. Due to time limitations, I'll just be speaking to 2 of these antecedents, with these 2 being acknowledgement of an athlete's role and role properties. So acknowledgement of an athlete's role included acknowledgement from a number of key social agents, including the head coach, teammates, parents, friends, and the public. Specifically talking about the impact of the coach, one athlete said, "A good coach will make anyone's role feel significant. When I come off the court and sit on the bench and my coach says, 'Great shift, you did some really good things there,' that just gives me a little bit of encouragement and makes me feel significant in what I'm doing." Next, and not surprisingly, participants also suggested that properties of a role, so role type, playing time, and starting status, contribute to perceptions of role significance. For example, when talking about the roles of the star player and bench player, one athlete said, "If you're a star player, he's that guy. You're not going to get that role if you're the end of the bench kind of guy. Your role is not going to get the same amount of shine or validation. I guess your role is a little bit less." Moving to potential outcomes of role significance, there were also a number of individual outcomes identified, including burnout, confidence, motivation, individual performance, pressure to perform, retention and attrition, role commitment, satisfaction, life translation, and affirmation of non-sport identities. There was also a single group level outcome being team morale. Again, due to time limitations, I'll just be providing a few examples, these examples being motivation and retention and attrition. So one suggested outcome of role significance is athlete motivation. For example, one athlete said, "Viewing my role as significant drove me to get up every morning, and it motivated me more so to take care of my body. So my self-care, making sure that I'm good mentally, meeting with the right person, including the trainer, it's definitely the motivating factor." Another outcome identified was retention and attrition. So when talking about a teammate that did not view their role as significant, one athlete said, "We're talking about bench players here now. The best teammate I ever had in my whole life never played a lick. And I guess he did not see his role as significant, hence why he quit." So moving on to some theoretical and practical implications of this study. Theoretical implications include the potential to further inform future directions of study for role significance in sports. For example, this might include the development of a measurement tool or quantitative analysis. Practical implications include the potential to inform key social agents, such as parents, coaches, and teammates, on how to best cultivate, increase, and maintain athletes' perceptions of role significance. And this may be through the use of social cues or constructive changes to athlete role responsibilities. Thank you so much for listening, and I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.